I haven't actually watched South Park in a very long time, but back in the late 90s, I found it just as amusing as everyone else did. I think I even owned a Mr. Hanky plushie back in the day. Outside of cuddly fecal matter, South Park has also dabbled in a number of video game adaptations, from tower defense titles, pinball games, and most recently, and successfully, a couple of genuinely good RPGs, all presented in the 2D style the show is famous for. South Park Snow Day leaves the franchise's traditionally 2D trappings behind and brings the quiet little mountain town to life in 3 glorious dimensions. Is this latest outing with Cartman and pals worth your time? South Park Snow Day has a relatively simple setup, and to get things out of the way, this is not a deep, layered role-playing game, so those of you hoping for more fare like The Stick of Truth or The Fractured But Whole are, I'm afraid, going to be left wanting. Instead, South Park Snow Day is best described as a budget-friendly roguelike game developed by Question Games. Built for 4 players and repeated cooperative runs, you'll fight through snowed-in backyards, snowed-in streets, the snowed-in school, and so on. In case you haven't got the hint, there's a lot of snow. The town of South Park is in jeopardy following the onset of a monstrous blizzard, snowing in everything. The adults are panic buying toilet paper, now a rare resource, and of course, for Cartman, Kyle, Stan and Kenny, the closure of school means one glorious thing: a snow day. And so the kids of South Park break out the wizard and elf costumes and Paladin Butters rulebook for some Dungeons & Dragons make-believe. And that includes you. As the new kid in town, Cartman calls upon you to help discover just where this storm is coming from, because it's definitely not natural. You'll start out your sessions at the Cooper Keep, which acts as a main hub from which you'll launch your runs with either 3 friends, or, if you're a solitary sort, 3 AI-driven companions. Cooper Keep has a few characters from across the South Park franchise, from Paladin Butters to even the cheerful Christmas Yule log himself, Mr. Hanky. Characters can act as vendors from which you can buy cosmetic items using platinum pieces or PP. These range from classics like the I'm with stupid t-shirt to a pair of swinging testicles on your character's chin. So far, so South Park. The story plays out like an episode of the show, tasking players with 5 distinct chapters to play through, battling against various foes from younger to bigger kids, all delivered with the usual South Park flair. It's often very funny, and the plot is as ridiculous a romp as South Park has ever been. You'll go into battle equipped with a melee weapon, be it a swift pair of foil-wrapped daggers or a sword and shield, and a ranged weapon from a fire wand to a bow and arrow. You'll also be able to wield 2 special moves, from farts that can launch you up in the air to a throwable black hole that pulls in enemies. If you're worried about weapon variety, fret not. More weapons and powers become available to you as you play through the game. At the start of each run, all players can choose an upgrade card for one of your abilities or weapons, and also amusingly a bullshit card, which has a finite number of uses per run. These are absurd power-ups, from laser eyes to raining down meteors, but be aware your enemy can equip their team with upgrades and bullshit cards too. There's nothing worse than having your main weapon turned into a pool noodle mid-fight. The cards themselves are wonderfully done, all drawn in childlike scribbles and hastily crossed out stats when you land another upgrade. Unlocked cards can be viewed in Paladin Butters' binder at the war table should you be curious as to how many you've discovered so far. As you'll play, you'll earn 2 other types of currency: toilet paper, like I said, it's a precious resource now, and dark matter. Toilet paper can be spent during the run on upgrading and levelling up cards at certain points throughout the mission. You don't take any toilet paper earned with you come the end of the run, so spend it while you have it. Dark matter is the currency used for the more persistent upgrade side of things, like upgrades to health, stamina and weapon damage, which can be spent with Mr. Hanky in the porter cabin back at Cooper Keep. I'll let you decide exactly what you think dark matter might actually be. The number of upgrades to your abilities in the dark matter skill tree is quite broad, and you'll need to complete a large number of runs to fully max out your character. Playing through each chapter will have you taking on various foes, and occasionally attempts to mix things up a bit by mixing in some other objectives beyond just beating up everything you come across. While I won't spoil any story beats, I'm pleased to say the South Park humour is well and truly intact, and the game certainly didn't fail to make me laugh on multiple occasions. Unfortunately, the game itself becomes repetitive extremely quickly, and after a while it starts to feel like the franchise itself is doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of keeping you interested. The combat, while seemingly simplistic by design, is frustratingly floaty and imprecise, and there's not really much strategy beyond just mashing attack at various enemies you come across. There's no weight to any of the attacks you do, and often you'll be left wondering if they connected at all. The only clue you really have is the number of damage points floating above an enemy as you vaguely wave your make-believe weapon in their direction. While the game mixes things up with random power-ups and upgrades throughout to try and make each run feel a little different, I can't really say it felt different in practice, and after several chapters, monotony starts to set in. Once you've seen a chapter through once, I can't say I felt overly thrilled to attempt it again, and this is a game designed to be replayed, and that, my friends, is a big problem. There's also a horde mode available via the local goth, Henrietta, which tasks players with taking on waves of enemies in an arena type setting, grabbing card upgrades between each round. Primarily this feels like the best way to farm dark matter for those permanent character upgrades, but again, the same flaws with the actual gameplay remain, and that's a shame. South Park Snow Day isn't a bad game, it looks nice enough, and it nails the franchise's irreverent humour. Hell, there's even a dedicated fart button, and an achievement for finding it. And there's enough here to keep younger players interested. But, and it's a big but, it's fucking South Park. Younger players are not the target audience. For me, for a multiplayer game all focused on replaying levels again and again, the very fact that both my teammates and I were already tired at the mere suggestion of playing through all this snow again meant one thing. I'm afraid I'm going to have to sit this blizzard out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the review, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and hey, if you really love what we do, why not head over to patreon.com/XboxEra and you can support us directly. We'll see you next time.